I'm going to hand over to the moderator of that debate, Hannelore BEERLANDt. Hello, Hannelore.
Hello, I'm here already. It sounds a bit like the Eurovision Song Festival.
That's right.
I won't give you points. Thank you for the very nice introduction. Thank you to all the guests and the public who is here already for this session on the sustainable food for all in an affordable and healthy way. Yeah, so it is a big concept, and we're not sure yet it is that life-changing. What we want to bring today is experiences from the field. Enable, the Belgian Development Agency, is a practitioner in development and in peer-to-peer exchanges with governments. AgriCord is a Belgian NGO who works and who has in fact been a pioneer on bringing the consumer side into the food value chains. And to the extent that today they work on a concept of food smart cities. Together, Enable and AgriCord, they work on feeding cities and food smart cities in several regions and areas over the world, and especially in Africa. So we have them here behind us, but we will look certainly at our speakers. We have speakers that will first explain the concept. What can this be, these sustainable food systems, when we look at it from a development perspective? In God's sake, can we combine all this? It has to be sustainable, it has to be healthy, and maybe farmers can also gain something on it. I think I might be well placed as moderator. I'm the president of the board of directors of Enable, and I'm also CEO of AgriCord. That's an international alliance that supports farmers' organizations worldwide through peer-to-peer exchanges. So since I started my career, I've studied a master's in bioengineering and a master's in economy. I've been working, let's say, on food markets, micro and also on the macro level, on policy level. So I think I see this concept changing, and I really wonder, what is it now, and how will we make it work? What are the mechanisms needed, and especially, how can we learn from practice and what works already, what's been done there? That is what we will do today. We will talk about the concept, and we will talk about the practice. Before I introduce our speakers, I would like you to know that we also count on the public. Yeah, so we will not only have our guest speakers, which play a crucial role, but also everybody that can join this session. What can you do? You can log into an app. I'll show it like this. Can you see this? Yeah, you go to slido.com at EDD, #EDD 2021, channel 4. Please go there. We ask 3 things of you. There will be a general question asked to you, and this general question is, sorry, we couldn't add it anymore in the slides. What are most important levers, according to you, to achieve sustainable, healthy diets, affordable by all? What are the levers there? If we now have to invest in it as something completely new, let's look what are the opportunities there. Where can we get to it? So we have a general question for you. Secondly, we want to hear your questions. You might have, a lot of experience yourself, or maybe you're a philosopher. Let us know, what does it bring to you, these type of issues and questions? So that's the second thing. Apart from the general question we ask you, you can ask us questions. Us, it's the speakers. You will ask questions to the speakers. A third thing we ask from you is that you like certain questions of your colleagues in the public. Yeah, this will bring us to the most important questions. There you see already the Slido poll. From your experience, what are the main levers to bring sustainable, healthy diets to scale? Okay, let's hit the road. So we will bring a concept today, but also 2 practices, from 2 people who are building already on practice. I see that for the moment, there's one person that has not been able to log in our connection, and that is Dr. Saidou from Niger. We are still waiting for him. We hope that he can make it. Otherwise, we'll give a bit more time to our 2 honorable other speakers. We will first listen to the concept, and especially the concept as seen by Dr. Christine Chege. She is from the Alliance of Biodiversity International and SIAT. What is so special about Dr. Christine is that she combines the link between agriculture and nutrition. And I always wonder why the hell would farmers now produce healthy food? Why would they do that? So she makes this link, but she also makes the link between agriculture and business entrepreneurship. So I think she's very well placed to introduce us already to some aspects of this concept. And then we'll go to the practice, to the field where the things really, where it matters. Christine, you introduce us, you get 6 minutes, please. Go ahead. Your PowerPoint will appear. You just say next slide. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Yes, so I'm going to talk briefly about sustainable food systems and how our food systems can deliver healthy and nutritious foods for all. So I'll ask for my presentation, please. Yes, next. So to start off, I want to show you a very brief sustainable food system framework so that we put things into perspective. If you click next, we can see the top part of that system or the graphic where we have the drivers of food system. So, and this cuts across all the components of the food system. It's from production, supply, distribution, and consumption. So several factors will drive our food system on any of those aspects. And these drivers link directly with the other food system components. If you click next, you'll see the food system supply side actors and activities. Those are the three bubbles there. And then the food environment and the consumer choice. So these three components are linked to the drivers. So when we talk about food environment, when we talk about production systems, when we talk about consumer choices, how does the food system drivers influence those? So there's a link there. And all these 6 components link or rather result to specific food system outcomes and impacts. If you click next, you'll see that round bubble there again, which shows us multiple food system impacts. And again, this is very important for food systems in that we are not just looking at one specific outcome, but we are looking at several outcomes. It's about environment, nutrition and health, economic and social outcomes. And also of importance to remember is about the trade-offs and synergies that happen within those outcome levels. And again, the feedback loops back to the drivers and to the food system components like the food environment, the actors, and consumer choices. And again, as food system stakeholders, what we need to keep in mind always is whatever kind of action you take in one of the components of the food system will affect another food system component because of these feedback loops. So we always need to be aware of that. Next, please. Next. So when we talk of, for me specifically now, I'm focusing on nutrition, and we're asking, how can we transform our food system to be able to deliver healthy and nutritious diets for everyone? Now, just a snapshot of the nutrition situation in Africa. Initially, we've been talking a lot about undernutrition in Africa and other developing countries, but now there's more about obesity. The rates are increasing at an alarming rate. Obesity is increasing, micronutrient deficiencies and undernutrition problems are still there. So that means we have triple burden of malnutrition. If we look at the SDG 2, we're talking about ending hunger. But then the last year's statistics show already we have around 36% of the African population hungry. And if we continue doing things the way we are doing without changing, then the projections are by 2030, we'll have 51% of the African population hungry. So really we need to do something, and there is need for action. Next, please. The main challenges that are resulting from malnutrition here, it's mostly about the issues to do with access, availability, and affordability of healthy diets. That's the main challenge. Next, please. And next again. So For transformation, I want to highlight some key things that really, according to research and what we are finding in the field, some areas that need serious transformation. For example, issues to do with food environment. If you click next, talking about the food environment, this picture you're seeing here, next again, many people may think this is a European photo, but this is exactly the kind of food environment we experience in Africa currently. Go to any urban the urban cities in Africa, you find a lot of processed sugar and salted foods. So a lot of that is happening, but this needs to change. We need to change our food environment to have more nutritious and healthy foods. Next, please. Again, in terms of production systems, we need to change our system, which is currently a cereal-based system, to include more and more of diversified and nutritious foods and commodities, like, for example, the fruits and vegetables, cereals, legumes, roots and tubers. This is key. Next, please. And this is also important in terms when we look at how are our foods produced. Is there contamination happening in the process? Is there harmful chemicals that we need to be aware of and that we need to address as producers? That is key. Next, please. And next again. And the third pillar is about food distribution also, which really affects our food distribution from production to consumption. How is the food distributed? What is the levels of post-harvest loss? This also is a major challenge in our food system. Next, please. And finally, the issue to do with policy. Do we have appropriate policies that are promoting healthy and sustainable diets? And what needs to be addressed? How can we set our policies in a better way or formulate better policies that address these challenges? Next, please. Finally, I want to give next, please. An example of a case that we've been conducting in Africa. Next. That we've been doing in Africa here in Nairobi and Kampala on working with the private sector to produce nutritious commodities for urban population. So we link the farmers directly with we link the processors directly with the farmers so that we shorten the links between the farmer and the source of the raw material. And that means the transaction costs are reduced. We've been working a lot in these channels, and we see this is one of the entry points that could be used really to transform the food system as well. So working with the private sector, introducing commodities like biofortified commodities, food fortification, this would be a very interesting avenue and a viable avenue for transforming our food system. And we've been working in a number of African countries, and we see when you work with the private sector, also there's sustainability, and there is more production of the commodities that you are looking at. You build capacity of this private sector, and they know what they need to produce and how, the importance of nutrition, the importance of reducing contamination. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Doctor. This was a very good, I think, experience almost to get above in your mind on how you see it. I learned that, you know, there's a word like food environment. For me, this is new. I come from an old food security school, so I really like that. This healthy food has such a strong focus in what you explain. How you make it healthy. So all the different steps to have it in a healthy way arriving at the consumer. I think what was also very special, and it will make the link to our next speaker, is that you stress the importance of the private sector. Not just as an actor, you know, that you can use because they are there, but as a key element for sustainability in a sustainable food system. And also that it pulls, you know, downward to become more sustainable. Thank you. Let's go to our next speaker. I'm very, very happy to announce Dr. Saidou. Saidou, you come from far, from Niger. You made it to connect. I will quickly introduce you. Dr. Saidou is policy advisor to the High Commissioner of the 3N initiative in Niger. It's a presidential initiative, and it says Nigerians feed Nigerians. He will explain us from a point of view of pastoralism. We wouldn't be surprised because he has a PhD in veterinary services and medicine, but he also has a master's from the US in environmental management and management of natural resources. Today, these are very, very hot topics to create sustainable systems. And let's have a look what he thinks and how he sees these new concepts of bringing healthy food to people, starting from a very, very local perspective, and how policies can play a role. Thank you. Dr. Saido, you can speak in French. You will be translated in English.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you to give me this opportunity. J'aimerais partager avec vous notre expérience en matière donc de système alimentaire, une expérience qu'on appelle nous ici au Niger, les Nigériens nourrissent les Nigériens, et particulièrement, je vais partager le PowerPoint. Just give me a moment to have my PowerPoint on the screen. Okay. Oh, tu l'as dit tout à l'heure. Je ne sais pas toi. Et voilà ça. Ok, donc je disais que c'est notre initiative, les Nigériens nourrissent les Nigériens, et qui est basée sur une stratégie de sécurité alimentaire et nutritionnelle et le développement d'une agriculture durable. Le concept est né d'une situation très bien critique. Au début de ce millénium, donc, le Niger était marqué par un cycle infernal de crise alimentaire, de déficit céréalier et fourrager récurrent et de malnutrition chronique touchant les plus vulnérables. Vous pouvez le voir sur ces images. Et donc, c'est de là qu'est née l'initiative, qui a été conçue. Elle est d'abord partie par un engagement politique. Plus jamais cela, donc plus jamais les images que vous voyez à votre droite. Et également, désormais, la sécheresse n'est plus synonyme de famine au Niger. Elle est ensuite traduite par un système alimentaire que nous appelons la stratégie de sécurité alimentaire et nutritionnelle et de développement agricole durable. En termes de défis, notre défi, le grand défi que nous avons, voilà, ok, c'est la même. Ok, donc ainsi, donc, les défis majeurs consistent à s'adapter au changement climatique et réduire ses impacts. Ces impacts, c'est quoi? C'est la dégradation des sols, c'est la baisse de la fertilité des sols, c'est la disponibilité et l'accessibilité de l'eau dans un contexte de sécurité difficile. Suivant. C'est eux qui manipulent en fait. C'est pas notre. Ok. Oh, vous avez sauté un diapo. Voilà. Donc, en termes d'objectifs, notre stratégie a comme objectif global, c'est de mettre les populations nigériennes à l'abri de la famine et leur garantir des conditions d'une pleine participation à la production nationale et à l'amélioration de leurs revenus. Et l'objectif spécifique de la stratégie, c'est de renforcer les capacités nationales de production alimentaire, d'approvisionnement et de résilience face aux crises et aux catastrophes naturelles. Sur le plan de gouvernance, mécanisme de gouvernance, c'est un mécanisme de gouvernance qui s'appuie sur la fédération de tous les acteurs et également sur les communautés locales. Suivant. Voilà, donc après 10 ans de mise en œuvre, nous avons tiré des leçons, quelques leçons très très importantes qu'on voudrait bien partager avec vous. Nous agissons à travers 4 leviers. Le premier levier, c'est accroissement et diversification des productions. Par rapport à ce levier, ce qu'on peut retenir, c'est que pour augmenter et diversifier les productions rurales dans un contexte d'extrême aridité et de changement climatique, le choix stratégique du Niger a été d'une part la mobilisation des eaux souterraines et de surface et de l'autre part la gestion des terres par leur restauration et leur régénération. Par rapport au levier 2, celui de l'approvisionnement régulier en produits agricoles et agroalimentaires, notre leçon apprise, c'est que l'important réseau d'infrastructures marchandes construites au cours des 10 dernières années et la promotion de la valorisation des produits agricoles à l'occasion des foires et expositions ont rendu accessibles et à des prix abordables les produits agro-pastoraux. Le levier 3, c'est l'amélioration de la résilience des groupes vulnérables face au changement climatique et aux crises et catastrophes. Par rapport à cela, on peut retenir que l'opérationnalisation du dispositif national de prévention et de gestion des catastrophes et crises alimentaires, DNPG-CGA, a rehaussé le niveau de mise en œuvre des plans de soutien annuels aux populations et conséquemment amélioré le taux de couverture en insécurité alimentaire et nutritionnelle, ce taux qui a passé de 40% à 10%. Mieux, on retient également que depuis lors, le Niger n'a pas connu une crise alimentaire de grande ampleur. Suivant, le dernier levier, suivant, slide. Ok, le dernier levier, c'est le levier 4, amélioration de l'état nutritionnel des Nigériens et des Nigériennes et des Nigériens. Là, on a retenu que l'amélioration de l'accès à l'eau potable, la supplémentation en vitamine A, en fer, en acide folique d'un côté et de l'autre, de sensibilisation sur l'allaitement maternel exclusif et la scolarisation de la jeune fille ont permis une amélioration significative de l'état nutritionnel des populations rurales, très vulnérables en raison donc de leurs conditions de vie. Donc voilà les résultats, si on peut les appeler ainsi, et même les leçons que nous avons tirées des 10 années de mise en œuvre de nos 4 leviers. Et à côté de ces leviers, plusieurs réformes et des outils ont été mis au point. Et ces outils et réformes garantissent en un point doté la durabilité de ce système alimentaire. Parmi ces outils et réformes, on peut retenir le Programme national de sécurité nutritionnelle, le Fonds d'investissement pour la sécurité alimentaire et nutritionnelle, le Système national de conseil agricole et son agence d'exécution, le Système national également d'achat des produits locaux auprès des producteurs locaux et la Maison du paysan. En perspective, on peut retenir que consolider les acquis des 10 ans de mise en œuvre de l'initiative 3N pour en faire un vecteur de transformation et de modernisation du monde rural et pour aboutir enfin à une croissance économique du pays. Voilà, mesdames, messieurs, ce que j'ai voulu partager avec vous. Je suis totalement disponible pour des questions en lien avec cette présentation. Merci.
Merci beaucoup, Dr. Saidu. This was very interesting. We will keep time for questions after the presentations. I think what is so amazing is that this is really being implemented. It's not just a theory. It's there, there's lessons learned, and what we see, I think what comes up when you talk about lessons learned and realities in the field, it's climate change. And certainly a country like Niger is very much affected already by climate change. And because of this climate change, the resilience topic comes so central in what we heard from Dr. Saidu in all ways, in different ways. I also find it quite amazing that at a national level, you put an extra component and an extra program on nutrition next to it. I think that's also quite special. So it's a specific component that looks at the nutrition. Thank you very much. We still have one speaker. We're very happy to have also the private sector with us. A young woman, entrepreneur, who's owning, but also managing, or partly managing for the finance part at least, a milkery in Mauritania. So this is not the best example we have here. She will explain what she's doing. Her name is Maryam ABEIDERRAHMANE from Mauritania. For me, it's even hard to imagine what she has done, so we'll have to immediately move to her. Maryam.
Merci, je vous remercie pour l'occasion qui m'est donnée. Alors, j'ai essayé d'être brève. Je n'ai pas de PowerPoint, ça n'a pas marché pour le mettre, donc je vais essayer d'être intéressante. Donc, en fait, Tiviski, c'est un exemple d'une industrie agroalimentaire qui collecte une matière première auprès d'une population locale. Donc, Tiviski, en Mauritanie, travaille depuis 30 ans. Plus de 30 ans. À l'époque, quand l'usine a commencé, il y avait un choix à faire. Donc, soit acheter de la poudre, la transformer, faire un produit accessible peut-être à la majorité de la population, pas cher, peut-être de moins bonne qualité que ce que Tiviski a choisi de faire finalement, qui était de collecter le lait auprès d'éleveurs traditionnellement nomades. Donc, c'était un choix qui n'était pas sans difficulté et aussi qui n'est pas sans conséquences. Donc, les difficultés, quelles ont été? Il a fallu d'abord convaincre les éleveurs de vendre leur lait, puisque traditionnellement, ils vivent dans un environnement où il n'y a pas de méthode pour conserver le lait. Donc, le lait, on le trait uniquement ce qu'on va consommer ou ce qu'on va distribuer autour de soi. Donc, il y avait un peu un stigma autour de ça. Donc, ce stigma a été dépassé, surmonté, et maintenant, il a fallu former les éleveurs à la qualité et aussi à la ponctualité, puisque il faut essayer d'amener le lait à un point de collecte où il va être testé et refroidi le plus rapidement possible pour que la chaleur ne le dégrade pas. Il a fallu aussi les convaincre que le lait qu'ils allaient amener allait bien être payé, donc faire des bons pour qu'ils soient rassurés. Donc, une fois que tout ça a été fait, que les éleveurs ont accepté d'amener le lait, et aujourd'hui c'est un métier tout à fait honorable et normal, il a fallu maintenant convaincre le consommateur, parce que le consommateur mauritanien, comme beaucoup de consommateurs en Afrique, pense que ce qui est fabriqué localement est forcément de moins de qualité. Donc, il a fallu les convaincre qu'un produit fabriqué localement peut être de bonne, voire de meilleure qualité qu'un produit importé. Il a fallu en particulier convaincre les boutiquiers, donc voilà, ceux qui vendent en fait, les boutiquiers, les grossistes, d'accepter ce produit, de le vendre, puisqu'ils étaient habitués aussi à des produits importés, moins chers, avec de plus grosses marges, ne nécessitant pas une chaîne de froid. Donc, il a fallu bousculer un petit peu les habitudes et finalement créer une chaîne de valeur où beaucoup d'acteurs ont chacun un gain dans la chaîne de valeur, et ce qui, à mon avis, rend toute la chaîne de valeur résiliente et qui va la permettre d'être pérenne, puisque que ce soit le trayeur, l'éleveur, le transporteur, le boutiquier, chacun a une marge et gagne, et donc c'est un peu cette approche business qui fait que le système marche. En particulier, il marche aussi parce que il y a un accent fort qui est porté sur la qualité. Donc la qualité au niveau de la collecte, le lait à collecter n'est accepté que s'il est de bonne qualité. Ensuite, au niveau du process, vraiment sans pitié sur la qualité, et aussi au niveau de la chaîne de froid qui doit être irréprochable. Et aujourd'hui, le consommateur en est conscient et recherche lui-même un produit de bonne qualité, regarde les dates de péremption, etc. Donc les conséquences sur le secteur, elles ne sont pas du tout négligeables. On voit aujourd'hui des éleveurs avec un cheptel en bonne santé, avec une capacité, comme je disais, une résilience face aux années difficiles, parce qu'on sait dans nos pays la difficulté liées au climat, mais aussi régionales, de sécurité, etc. Et on voit aujourd'hui vraiment une meilleure qualité de vie, tant au niveau du cheptel que de la population en général. Donc voilà, pour moi, c'est vraiment un exemple et très important d'avoir toujours une issue à ces produits, ces matières premières locales, une issue par ces industries agroalimentaires qui vont utiliser ces produits et les distribuer sur les marchés locaux en premier.
Thank you very much, Maryam. I think indeed it's a very nice example of how you took in the consumer perception over quality and then pulled in all the other actors of the value chain around this concept, each with their margin. Thank you. I would like to see whether there's any results already from our Slido before we go to the question-answer session. Has anything come up already? Is there anything to be presented? Slido in, and the result of the question, is that available already? Yes, of the poll. So we did the poll via the Slido on this question. Not yet? Okay, let's go to the question answers. I have one short question for each of you. Then each of the speakers can ask one question to the other speakers, and then we go to the public. We're still waiting for your questions on this app, slido.com. And you find the hashtag EDD 2021 channel 4. Yeah, you can also like questions from others. The 3 most highly appreciated questions will be asked. Good, let me go back. Christina, you presented an almost off-the-shelf concept, I think, of what are sustainable food systems to bring healthy diets. How robust is this, and how custom-made is this? Because we will now have to apply it in very, very different contexts. What are the non-negotiables for you in this concept if we translate it into practice? What should be included? What may we not forget?
Yes, thank you. Thank you very much. So, like I presented that food system, yeah, it's right that it's very complex and it has different components, and you may not be able to do everything. So what you need to keep in mind, first of all, is identify area or region-specific challenges, and then check what do you need to address within the food system to address those challenges, for you to tackle those challenges. How do you tackle them? Because you may not be able to do everything. And also some of the components may not be really a challenge to a specific, a food system for a specific region. So for example, to give the example of the last case study that I shared, of linking with the private sector and addressing nutrition problems in the urban slums. So for that case, it also fits very well within that framework for the food system. And the question there we had in mind was, there's a nutrition challenge. What is the nutrition challenge? And how can we address that nutrition challenge? What are the pillars that we need to work on for us to address those challenges? So we picked the nutrition problem, the specific nutrition problem, and then asked, how can we address this? Next, we picked the specific actors who are directly responding to these challenges. So for example, if it's the private sector, we needed to develop products, we needed farmers, we needed distributors, and what after identifying all these actors, they work together.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. So you say the non-negotiable is that you assess together with other actors how to get to solve a certain challenge. Christina, you have to agree on, except that you have to stop now. I have a question also for Dr. Saidu. Yeah, Dr. Saidu, you presented, in fact, a very complex situation in Niger that you try to solve with very clear policy lines. But you've been busy with for 10 years now with this one project that you presented also. What bumps on the road can we expect? Is this something that, you know, is so, will slide, you know, from the production line now as a nice project? What bumps on the roads can we expect? And is there anything in what you presented where digitalization would play a role? That's now the buzzword, and we do believe in it very much, as enabled, certainly, and AgriCord as well. but from your perspective, how important this is now. So what bumps can you expect on the road, and does digitalization, can that play a role? Thank you. Yes, yes. There is for the moment, we can't hear you.
Ok, vous m'entendez maintenant?
Ah, voilà. Ça marche maintenant. Merci beaucoup.
Ok, donc je disais que je vais répondre en français. Donc les 10 années de mise en œuvre n'ont pas été vraiment aussi simples que cela. Les situations de crise sont des situations très difficiles à gérer. Ça, c'est la première chose. Et le pays est bien connu pour ses famines, pour ses crises alimentaires, pour ses pertes en vie humaine, ses pertes également du cheptel. Mais néanmoins, le défi n'était pas là-bas. Le défi était de comment devons-nous faire pour rassembler l'ensemble des intervenants. Il y avait beaucoup d'interventions là-dessus, beaucoup de départements ministériels qui agissent, de partenaires techniques et financiers. Et donc, il nous fallait trouver un mécanisme, vraiment pour un mécanisme de gouvernance qui rassemble l'ensemble de ces partenaires. Donc, c'était ça le défi, mais c'est un défi qu'on a surmonté. Et à partir de là, maintenant, nous sommes presque convaincus que le futur va être meilleur. Nous sommes en train d'élaborer le 3e plan d'action, le plan d'action 2021-2025, et nous pensons que la mise en œuvre de ce plan d'action va être nettement meilleure que les 2 derniers plans d'action, parce que 10 ans ont vérifié ces 2 plans d'action. 2011-2016, 2016-2020.
Merci beaucoup. Thank you, Dr. Seider. We'll have to stop here. I think your answer contributes something very important, the governance of the whole setting, and how complicated this can be, but also how it can open doors once you find these mechanisms. So thank you for bringing that up. Thank you also for correcting myself that it wasn't a road without bumps, and I think you've managed wonderfully. I hope one day that we can speak with the actors who made all this happen. Thank you very much. I will continue now with questions that came from the public. We have a question for Maryam. Yeah, I will say it in English, okay? Maryam, how did you manage to build trust in the entire value chain from producers to consumers?
Okay. Je ne peux pas dire que c'était facile, c'était extrêmement difficile et parfois très décourageant. Mais je crois que, comme je l'ai dit tout à l'heure, la qualité, elle finit par convaincre, en fait. Donc, le fait qu'il n'y ait pas de concession au niveau de la collecte du lait et qu'on prenne le lait non pas à des parents ou à des gens qu'on connaisse, mais à femmes, hommes, qu'ils amènent 1 litre ou 100 litres, qu'ils soient de n'importe quelle ethnie. Pour nous, le lait, il est blanc, et s'il est de bonne qualité, on le prend. Donc ça, au niveau de l'éleveur, ça les a convaincus. Et le consommateur, si le lait est bon et qu'il continue d'être bon, il est d'accord avec ça.
Okay, thank you very much, Maryam. Very good question, by the way. So it's been very difficult, and it takes a while as well. I think we need to take these transitions into account. A question from the public to Christine. Christine, what are the benefits of an inclusive business approach as implemented in your project in Nairobi and Kampala compared to a business as usual approach? And what are key characteristics? So in fact, it's what are the advantages and what are key characteristics of such an approach? Like you have given an example. Thank you, Christine. What do you say on that? I think a very good question.
Yes, thank you. So the advantages of inclusive business engagement is that both the buyer, for example, the smallholder farmers, and the buyers, who in this case may be the private sector, they understand the trading relationship. It's not just buy and sell, but there is actually inclusivity in terms of their transactions, and that means there's more, or rather there's a better relationship that will be more sustainable in future. Many people, for example, run into contracts, but then when you sign a contract, you're not guaranteed that this farmer will not sell the produce. But when you have an inclusive business relationship between the buyer and the seller, there is more there's a better understanding of what are we trading in, why are we doing this trading, what commodities are we selling, what am I benefiting in as a farmer and you as a buyer. So in terms of the future benefit, one of them is actually the sustainability. You are sure that this relationship, or rather there is more sanctity in terms of the trading relationship and the length of the trading relationship you're going to have between these actors. So in a nutshell.
Thank you. In a nutshell, but a very... Thank you. We have not finalized yet. We still have 3 minutes to go. This is a European sign for 3 minutes. So wherever you come in the world and you hear that, it means Europeans still have 3 minutes. There we go. Dr. Saidu, I have a question for you as well. And this comes from the public, so it's the questions that are most liked. Dr. Saidu, what are the main mechanisms used by the 3N initiative in Niger to build resilience and to encourage environmental sustainability in the Nigerian food system? I'm sorry, I'm reading it from my phone. I'm looking down. So, but in that system, how do you do it, and how do you convince people to get, to that mind shift? Thank you. Can you think of that? How did you do that in the 3N initiative? It's a core aspect.
I'm sorry, I didn't get really the question in. Can you translate it to me in French?
Oui, pas de problème. Donc, quels sont les mécanismes utilisés dans l'initiative 3N au Niger pour améliorer la résilience, donc, et pour promouvoir la durabilité environnementale dans le système alimentaire au Niger? Donc, comment est-ce que vous avez... Quels sont les mécanismes pour convaincre ou pour le rendre intéressant pour ceux qui appliquent, qui sont actifs dans le système alimentaire? Donc, résilience, okay. Oui, gestion de ressources.
Ok, merci. Maintenant, c'est clair pour moi. Effectivement, nous travaillons un peu dans le sens du nexus. Le nexus, c'est un lien étroit entre la résilience et le développement. Et donc, depuis un certain temps, le Haut Commissariat à l'initiative 3N, qui met en œuvre ce système, travaille en collaboration avec beaucoup d'autres partenaires sur le nexus, qui est vraiment le mécanisme à travers lequel on pense pouvoir garantir la durabilité. Parce qu'on ne se limite pas uniquement à appuyer les gens avec nos mécanismes d'appui à la résilience, mais nous faisons de la résilience qui est accompagnée par des actions de développement. Donc c'est ça que nous appelons le nexus. Et ce nexus est vraiment de plus en plus d'orientation principale du Haut Commissariat à l'initiative 3N.
Merci beaucoup, je pense que c'était très clair. On doit s'arrêter ici, malheureusement, so we have to stop here. Sorry for that. It was very interesting. What I think we've learned is that there's so much good examples already in the field there from practitioners. They are present with us. They have moonshot projects on how we can work. Now we have to think all together on how we can upscale that and what are the non-negotiables to find mechanisms to this upscaling. Thank you very much. Thank you to our 3 guests. I think it was really very inspiring to meet you. I hope I can meet you again. Thank you for the public. You've been very active in proposing questions to our speakers. Thank you for that. Thank you to Enable and Recall to bring this important subject on the agenda. And thank you to the European Union and international partnerships. Goodbye. Have a good day. We'll meet again. Thank you.